Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana. It's great to see you. My chat is not working on the right hand side there, so we're going to get rid of that. There we go. Almost as if I know what I'm doing, almost. So thank you everybody for joining us this evening on a Friday. I really appreciate you coming out twice in a row, 2 days in a row for a Geeksvana live stream. It is absolutely fantastic to see all of the regulars in the chat. Thank you for coming along. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different on Geeksvana, actually. So we don't do too much FPV stuff, although we do, of course, have an FPV show, which is returning very soon now that I'm back. But yeah, we're going to be talking about a release today that was put out by Shark Dominator goggles, essentially. And we're going to be looking at some of the, not really issues as such, but some of the confusion that's come up today and try and give some clarity to it and try and give some backstory and certainly what we have been finding out and the type of things that we've been hearing about. So obviously this is the kind of thing that you need the experts for. So I called in the experts. Look, it's the experts.
Wait, where is it? Where is it?
You know, we didn't even practice that. We did that both in unison. Where are these experts?
Good evening. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Sean.
Good evening, sir. So we have, of course, we have Ian from Mads Tech. Of course, you all know. Ian has actually just put out an excellent video on this subject. So go and have a watch of that afterwards. And as he says in his video, go watch the Joshua Bardwell video first. So we've got a little chain of videos to watch, but then you will have all the information. And of course we have John Cuppi, who everybody knows from our Discord server, is our FPV lead in our Discord server and helps everybody out in there. Thank you, John, for all your hard work in there. It's tireless sometimes, so thank you. I do appreciate it. And of course John has his own YouTube channel focused on I won't say focused on FPV. John loves FPV. But there's some camera stuff in there as well, and there's all sorts, really. You are an RC fan, really, aren't you?
Yes. It's all RC.
Yeah, indeed. There are links to both of their wonderful channels in the description below. So if you don't have them, make sure you get over and join them. So yes, and also as Andy said there is a link to our Discord server in the chat there as well. So yes, so as I said, tonight we're going to be talking about something which is quite exciting, because there is an excitement here, the fact that we have on the horizon the potential of some absolutely fantastic looking goggles, but of course it has raised a few issues as well. But first of all, we're going to start with the exciting side of things, and we're going to look at the actual goggles themselves. Now I'm going to pretend I know all about these, and then Ian's going to sit and John are going to sit and laugh at me, frankly. So the Shark Dominators are, essentially they're going to be full HD OLED displays, and so you're not going to have all that grainy nonsense that Bruce X-Jet loves with his analog his analog reception, etc. And the specs look quite decent, don't they, Ian?
Yeah, the goal, I love days like this in FP. One thing I do want to say, Fat Shark have really got a lot of excitement in today, and I've loved today. Genuinely, it reminded me of the old DJI launches before you had all of the leaks and before everything was like, oh, here it is. But yeah, so what we've got is a brand new set of goggles, Fat Shark's. I can't say they're first digital goggles because they're not. They make a set of digital goggles which are compatible with HD0, but this is their first standard goggles. They are OLED 1080p. They have a power button. As mad as that sounds for a set of Fat Shark goggles, a power button is actually revolutionary. They've got built-in DVR, and there's a lot to like on the goggles themselves, but the goggles are really only part of the story here, because the big story is the FPV system. They don't have analog, so if anyone wants to know, there's no analog input, there's no analog. Analog is out the door. The goggles themselves are straight digital 1080p OLED displays, which in itself is fantastic. I wouldn't have expected that, to be honest.
No, indeed, and it's spec wise, it's all very, very exciting. It's all very much moving in the right direction. I don't think the price is $599 for the headset, and is it $159 for the unit itself?
Yeah, that's what they're showing at the moment. So the pricing is upper end, what you would expect for upper end OLED goggles. So, people will say it's expensive. It's a bit like saying I can't afford to put fuel in a Ferrari if you're going to call it expensive. At the end of the day, we're talking the top end here.
Indeed. That's without antennas, right? As well.
Yeah, it does appear
antennas
to be the case. So there'll probably be another $80 for good stuff on top of that.
No,
Well,
exactly.
who knows? You might be able to take your existing antennas from another system and just put them on there if you have them.
What systems
RPSMA, funnily enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the antenna will
Conveniently,
match.
they are exactly the same antennas as on the large 3-letter manufacturer's name of goggles.
Are they really?
That's amazing.
You shock me.
Yeah, I know.
You absolutely shock me. So you know, this was an exciting release. This is something that is interesting. Now, Joshua Bardwell did an absolutely fantastic video on this, smashed it out of the park. 2,500 people watching live when that premiered. It was awesome. It was, as you said, it felt like the old days of the releases of DJI and those type of tech companies. Almost a bit like it kind of felt like a bit Apple-y, didn't it? Because everyone was very sort of excited in the chat beforehand, and sort of, you know, this is going to be exciting. Now, it's the question of the fact that this does look and feel like DJI innards within the goggles, you know, a DJI system itself, did come up. It came up in Joshua's video many times, people saying, oh, this feels like that. So they certainly didn't shy away from the fact that it feels a bit like it. I have to say, at one of the points when he was flying, I kind of stepped away from feeling like it was too much like DJI. Maybe it was the latency, maybe it was the way the video was coming across once it's compressed on YouTube and that sort of thing. But it felt a little bit different to me. But of course, it was also going from, because the DVR's not working yet, so it was going from the goggles via a cable and then recorded, so that it could have felt different a little bit. Sort of, it just, something didn't quite feel as 100% DJI to me. But again, I'm not an FPV expert in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, so but it was specifically ruled out that this is some kind of DJI white label or some kind of DJI repackaged product and that type of thing, fairly categorically within that video. Joshua did end the video showing the fact that there was a DJI leak, which we do have here, that has a similar name to it, to the name that was coming up on the save files on these goggles when he tested it. So there was obviously a bit of a connection potentially put there, and he was completely and open and above board with all of that kind of stuff, basically. And you know, it did look, a couple of screen grabs from it, it did look impressive. And when they went over to the water tower, etc., and dove the water tower and things, it was all seemed very stable and pretty impressive, frankly. However, things obviously changed fairly quickly after the live stream. I chat to John Cuppi constantly some days, especially on a launch day like this, and we were chatting away to each other, and you know, we suddenly started seeing these little sort of, you know, comments coming in and messages coming into us, etc., about this is actually a DJI product in disguise. You know, this was the conspiracy that blew up like a California bushfire. Frankly, it was very, very quick, and we've kind of gone through a bit of a journey, haven't we, guys, as far as, you know, from people thinking, is this actually something which is completely a DJI sort of box thing, through to could it be Cadix, could it be this, could it be that? And there was all this question of a partner, and we didn't actually know who that partner was, which again, I suppose I can understand. Sometimes you don't want to disclose partners, but to be that explicit, we're not telling, you know, we're not going to talk about who the partner is and that type of thing. And then of course we had something else show up, which I know you've featured in your video as well, which is this. So we have then completely out of nowhere. Now, myself and John found out about this because it was spammed into some of the comments and chats, etc., from people. So well done, community out there, for finding these things. But we have these look pretty similar, don't they?
Yeah, from my point of view, it's the same product. You know,
the same.
Yeah, it is literally change the front shell, change the plastic molding on the top, one from Avatar, one to Fat Shark, and yeah, it's the same product.
You then have the fact that the beta units that Joshua test flew had Avatar in the save files, etc. And of course, this product is actually called Avatar. And then you perhaps then find out that we have the partner, basically. And then of course the full website was there, sort of offering you to do your essentially buy a pre-order token for $1. So they would then tell you when they were available, and you would then get $10 off later when you buy any Avatar products, which is, you know, it's not a bad deal. You're only risking $1, aren't you, to find out when they were available, which isn't too bad.
Yeah, it just raises a lot. It's a strange one because, you know, we first of all got Greg talking about designing them and everything, and actually that there has been a post by Walksnail. Keep trying to get that name right. What a name!
Yeah,
Just
I know, right?
What a name! And there has been a post by them, saying they've worked with a lot of people. So it's wrong to say that Fat Shark haven't designed these or worked on these. There's clearly a partnership involved, but you have two different brands of the same product.
Yes.
But it sort of then goes, okay, so this is now getting confusing because, I know for me, I was very much, this is DJI. And there is a bit of context on this, that there was a leak about 3 months ago of this system we now know. But at the time,
Yes, exactly.
%, no argument.
Indeed. Yes.
And then that website landed.
Yes, indeed, exactly. And we actually did get confirmation today, as you can see here on our Windows Messenger. So it's only a confirmation on Windows Messenger, so it could be anybody within the company. But we did ask straight out, are you working with? Is this the same as the product as the Fat Shark? And is DJI your partner on the project? They said not DJI, only Fat Shark are our partners. And again, it's a bit odd because then they took the website down. Now the website's behind a password, and even if you were to somehow get past that password, then you'll find that actually the goggle photos have now disappeared, etc. But these are still available on places like Flywoo, which is this was found by John. Well done, John. As far as being able to actually add to cart and showing us in stock, as in the pre-order token again, not the actual goggles themselves. So it does seem like something's happened here, that like a disconnect of marketing. But of course, you then start sort of poking behind it a little bit from the point of view that, in actual fact, I've just noticed something. Sorry, I have to bring that site up once more. So the Flywoo that's obviously showing these avatar goggles then has the Joshua Bardwell video.
Yes, they put his video on it. I noticed that earlier. They put his video to show it. Talk about another kick to Fat Shark's side. Yeah, they're going to be loved.
Crikey. So and again, obviously you think, okay, well, who are these Walksnail? And then of course the jungle drums start rolling on again, and the good old Facebook detectives and the Discord detectives out there, and we found that Walksnail are actually based in the same building as Cadex, and have the same telephone number, and have their websites hosted on the same servers. And then a little bit more poking, and we found this out, which is screen 4, that actually the same person that filed the trademarks for Cadex FPV actually also filed the trademark Walksnail. Interestingly, it was back in 2017. They have held that name, and actually when they talk on their About Us section in the Walksnail, they do talk about their journey of being in FPV since 2017. So it almost feels like a passion project for someone as well. But does this therefore mean we're looking at because obviously Cadex FPV, with their strong DJI links and deals that they've done with them in the past, are we looking therefore at some form of DJI rebranded under Walksnail, and then they themselves partner with the Dominator headset with Fat Shark, and it's technically not DJI, but it's sort of coming through a few gates first, shall we say?
It's a big mess to even put into words.
Yeah, it's a lot, and the problem I've got is this. Okay.
Oh no, I didn't. Right, okay.
No.
Okay, I'll leave it like that.
No one wants this full screen. No one wants this full screen.
Actually, no, I know, yeah, but carry on, please. Yeah.
Now, so if this is a partnership with DJI and Cadex and then Fat Shark, the question is, why put Walksnail in the middle? Because so the question then is, are they trying to hide something with the Walksnail brand, or were they?
Yes.
R is a complete
and
waste of time.
that's part of the issue here, because we have also seen a lot of people commenting online are we bothered? Why are we bothered by this? And
Yeah.
actually, the bother. No, we're not, because actually, if it is a DJI system in there, it's going to be pretty good. So actually, a lot of people have been saying, actually, I want it to be the DJI system, but it is that fact that we're not being told something, and it's being overtly kept from us. It's not just, oh, here's a new system. Oh yeah, no, it does kind of look like the DJI system. Giggle, giggle, move on.
Yes.
This is actually no. This is a new system. This is new.
A lot of people felt. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go. You go, John.
I was gonna say a lot of people, I think, just felt like their intelligence was insulted when they put that that video was put up, and he just said, we can't say who the partner is, and we're looking at this. We're noticing all the things that Ian noticed about the similarities in the systems, and we're just supposed to sink money into this and not question it. A lot of people felt like their intelligence was insulted. That's basically it.
Yeah, my concern is this. So if this is DJI, I'm more than happy. I'm happy, but I'm in. I'll give you my money. I'm done. My concern is if this isn't, then we have one of two options. We have something that's either been cloned, or we have something that's been made to look like it. Now, if you go down the road of made to look like, why would you go to that absolute effort to literally clone every piece of wording on the menu? Because it is literally letter for letter identical.
That's right.
In every possible way.
There is also the impossibility side of cloning DJI products, from the point of view that they do have proprietary chips and that type of thing, and actually it isn't a cheap thing to clone anything that company makes.
No, it's not going to be easy.
We don't have lots of them, essentially.
But we have had stuff. You've got batteries. There are batteries for various drones which are aftermarket. They are cloning some DJI chipsets to be able to do that in their battery management system. So it is possible. But the problem now is, if this was just Walksnail, I actually don't think it'd be a major problem. So if they appeared and it was like, oh, this is a clone or something, I think you would have the natural suspicion that comes with this. But you have here Fat Shark, one of the biggest brands in FPV. And before I'm going to run out and say to people, you know what, Fat Shark have done an amazing job here, and I would love to be able to stand here and say this, I need more info right now, because if it is a clone or reverse engineer, whatever that is, that's not illegal. That's absolutely, you're allowed to do that. You can buy someone's product, take it apart and think it. But if it is, it changes your perspective on it. It will change the long term, not the long term viability, but the short term. So Joshua mentioned it. They got 2 months to get this right. So if it's DJI based, I'm not worried. If it's not DJI based, then actually I'm a bit more concerned now, because what they don't have history of having a finished working product.
Yes.
And that's the bit you've got to take into account.
There are so many things. There are so many little pieces that don't add up. And one thing I will give a shout out to Evil C in the chat, because yes, that is a theory that I've had brewing as well, is in my show notes for slightly later on, that this actually Walksnail is now essentially an IP holder of the DJI video tech, and they licensed it to DJI, and now this is how they're going to sell that. They've been holding that brand back, knowing that they can use it one day, essentially. And I have heard that theory brewing 100%, and it's an interesting one.
DJI's OcuSync has been one of their core technologies for many. It started as Lightbridge. I was around when I was beta testing it. If you look at where DJI use OcuSync, it's used in everything from their consumer drones right through to their top-end handheld camera systems. It's theirs, out and out. And this is the bit I don't get. I don't imagine for 1 minute DJI would be happy their premium technology just being sold out on a third-party brand like this. I just you remember the Tello?
Yeah.
The story of the Tello is Rise Robotics was part of DJI, but wasn't. It wasn't officially, but they were a bunch of guys that went through the RoboMaster competition. I know this because I was involved with it at the time. And DJI never wanted it said that they were owned by DJI, but they were. But they always had their name on the thing. If you remember, it said DJI Technology or DJI on board. So
that's right.
I don't see them hiding from this.
No, that's right. I completely agree with that. One question I have as well then is if this is a DJI unit in disguise, why is so much of it still not working on this testbed model?
I can't explain, because if it is basically a set of modified V2
there are just
goggles,
little things, aren't there, that you start walking down and that's why I said that there are no accusations here. We don't think there's any dark and we hope there's nothing dark and shadowy going on, and we're sure that there's going to be an explanation to this, because every hallway you walk down of explanation of what's going on here, a little door closes somewhere, and it's sort of like, well, if it's this, then why wasn't everything working? And if it's that, actually no, because DJI keep hold of everything, etc. So it's an interesting one.
I wouldn't be totally shocked if it was actually DJI and half of it was buggy as hell, because I've been there and seen that. That's not particularly unusual.
And there is always the thing of transferring. You know, if you were to take the electronic heart out of a Mercedes and put it into a brand new model of car, it's not going to work straight away either, of course, and you're going to have to ramp it up and sort of open things up as you go along as far as features are concerned.
Here. It's 1080p for starters, so that's a change. There's a fundamental change, and it's H.265 apparently. It has an H.264, but this is the bits that don't add up for DJI, right? So 1080p, H.265 instead of H.264. Some of that is the fundamental parts of the system, and that's going out the door on a non-DJI based product. There's too much that doesn't add up here.
No, and then you have things to add in there from the point of view of just the politic of it and that type of thing, from the point of view that the website was then taken down for some bizarre reason, and when you can access their website now, the goggle photos are taken off why have they taken those off the website specifically? But they're still on the Facebook page, and they were active on the Facebook page up until only a short time ago. It's a very strange situation, and it almost feels like one thing I said to John earlier when me and John were chatting about it is it almost feels like something changed at the last minute. Almost, actually everyone had this plan of what they were going to do, but then suddenly someone somewhere said, no, you can't do that, whether it's for a legal reason, whether it's for a timing reason, and perhaps the memo, that literally the old saying, the memo just didn't get around to everybody, basically, and then the chap in China, or the chap and chapesses in China, put their website up and started taking pre-orders for their version of the goggles. So there's just so much that doesn't add up. It's very strange.
Whatever's happened, they've got a lot to clear up to make people confident to put their money into this system. I mean, and it's sad because they are a nice pair of goggles. It's nice. Look, I've wanted to see DJI's headset in a goggle shell just like that. Nice and compact.
Everyone wants that. Exactly.
We've wanted that. That's what people wanted with the V2 headsets. So I thought this was I actually thought this was going to be great. Fat Shark's going to put DJI into their shell, and it's going to be a win-win for both companies. But then we went down this path of who is this mysterious provider of this HD system.
But to me it's bizarre, because obviously I come from things more from the camera drone side of things. I am now doing a bit of FPV, but I don't count myself as an FPVer. But you could tell me as a camera drone flyer that this new DJI drone has an XYZ in it, and I'll be like, okay, thanks, and I'll go off and fly it, and that's fine. And I'm not probably most of that audience isn't going to look into it too heavily. It's just a bizarre thing to do, to not have your I's dots and T's crossed when you're approaching a global FPV community who know their builds, who know their menus. These people play with these menus. These people are often coders as well and things. And I mean, look at both of your backgrounds. You've got these little boards with all your tools up and broken bits of drone and fixed bits of drone and everything else. And to me, it's a strange approach to take from a marketing perspective as well. When you're talking about approaching an audience who are so technologically knowledgeable.
It's a huge mistake. They made a huge mistake to approach the way they did here, and unfortunately, right now they're paying for it. They could fix this. They could still fix this by coming forward and just answering some of the questions that Ian has posed, that we've posed here on the show, and they could try to do it. But until then, there's a lot of people that are just going to stay away from this because they just don't know. We just don't know what's going on. It's very confusing.
Yeah, that is the thing that I said at the beginning. I'm sure there has to be an easy explanation. I'm hoping there has to be an easy explanation that will explain all of this, because even with all of our wonderful Facebook and Discord detectives getting out there and finding all this information out for us, we're still hitting a few doors. Although I think we are pretty certain that, you know, this is a Cadex system that they're in partnership with, and obviously there are DJI links there. I mean, could it be as simple as, because of the way this system is being sold out, because it's going through Cadex, through the Snail company, as I'm now going to call them from now on, and then on to Fat Shark, could it be a simple case that they can't say it's the DJI system because legally it's not a DJI license they're buying?
Yeah, it is possible. The bit the bit that changed all of this for me is Walksnail. If this had just been we're working with Cadex, all of that would have made complete sense. The weird bit isn't even the Walksnail brand. It's the fact they're selling it. Yeah. Now this smells, and I've seen this before. You know, you know, I've talked about Argopilot. We have HereLink, which I use here. There are a number of other Chinese-related RC control links out there, and they're all clones of each other. And I've seen this exact behavior. So what you have is one of the bigger names, and HereLink isn't one of these, I will add, just in case anyone's watching, but one of the bigger names in FPV, like I'm trying to remember what they're called. It's gone up my head. Anyway, they're known and they'll release it under their name. But then like a couple of weeks later, you'll see it start appearing via varying traders under different brands, and it's the same product, and it's basically been OEM'd out. Yes. They basically say we're going to sell, white label it, sell it out, and you can sell it. And I just don't think it would have been white labeled under DJI. You know, if DJI were doing this, I can see a deal going, right, Fat Shark are going to make the goggle, Cadex are going to make the cameras and ear units, and we're going to then, there's to be no mention of DJI. We don't want our name associated with this. We're going to let you go ahead as it is, though. Yeah, because our license, our deal is with Cadex, and we're allowing you under license to do this partnership, but that partnership is actually nothing to do with us as such. And I agree with that. There has been discussion about, you know, is this getting around US sanctions and, you know, teal drones and that type of thing. And I think you'll probably agree with me in that I don't think that's got anything to do with this, because one, that it's so paper thin, it just wouldn't stand up to scrutiny. But two, just because Red Cat own Fat Shark and Teal Drones, who, if anyone doesn't know, Teal Drones is a Blue Suas drone company that has contracts with the US military. Essentially, to be Blue Suas, you have to prove that the drone is made in the US and is secure within the US. Really, none of the IP, that it's not going to be talking to Chinese servers and that type of thing. So the US military can use it with, and federal agencies can use it with confidence. That. Red Cat's already on the Teal website, so everybody already knows who owns who and everything else like that. And Teal Drones is ring-fenced 100%. It wouldn't matter if Red Cat bought DJI and then wanted to bring their goods across. Teal is ring-fenced, and anything that has to go through that ring fence has to go through the Blue. Whether you agree with Blue Suas or not is a whole other live stream. But whether, you know, you would have to go through that very, very tight electric fence, frankly, and it just wouldn't get through there. So I do not think this has anything to do with that personally. No, and if Fat Shark had sit there and said, we've done this, no one else, I get that. That would make sense. But they were very clear up front, it's a partner. They didn't try to say US. They didn't, you know, because if it was me, I'd have sat there and gone, right, we're working with a US company to ensure. You could have easily turned that into a lot of positives, actually, couldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I don't.
I mean, this if this is DJI, Cadex, Snail, Fat Shark, and it's gone along on those lines. Actually, as you're saying, there is a hugely positive marketing spin on that, from the point of view that we've finally got a partnered access to this amazing system, but we're also going to make it from a point of view of being FPV specialists. So you don't have to worry about DJI not releasing the next version of goggles, or not, you know, not supporting something, etc. Because we've got control of this license, and we're going to make sure that these goggles, you know, live on, etc.
And there's a lot of people who won't buy DJI. You know, look, DJI is the biggest brand in drones, but they are particularly hated in some quarters, rightly or wrongly. And there are many in FPV who dislike their business behavior for instance, the very fast turnover of product. You know, FPV likes product that lasts years. Analog video has been around forever.
Yeah.
You know, so FPV doesn't like that. So it does make sense for DJI to want to distance itself, to go, you know what, we know there's a subset of users who don't want to get involved with us. They might not like that, but that is reality. So, and okay, we're going to let the big Fat Shark brand take it forward, keep it away from us, you know, let this go out. And then the off the record conversation will always be, oh, look, it's DJI. You can tell it's DJI. You know,
exactly.
It's like getting in, it's like taking the badge off a Seat, right? You know, it's made by VW.
Yes.
There's no getting away from that. You could take the badges off it, but you know it's been made.
Your Skoda is a Golf. Yeah,
Skoda is a Golf. It's the same things. Yeah.
Exactly. No, and I do agree with that, and it's going to be interesting. But you know, as John has been telling me today, I think that the other repercussion from this is the fact that how this knocks on to the FPV community in terms of that trust that they build. I know that we all want to trust the brands that we buy, and you know, I trust DJI from the point of view of the drones that I fly, the camera drones, and the FPV drone. Oh my god, I just called my DJI FPV drone an FPV drone. Whoops. Please don't murder me, chat. But you know, I do trust those products, and the problem is when that trust does break down, especially something that you're building with and something that you're trying to bring into your ecosystem and make work, and you don't want to have to keep swapping around, etc. It does. I think it's a shame, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it is. You know, one of the reasons people love HD0, for example, and if for people who haven't seen the interview that Ian did with Carl, it's an awesome interview, is because people in the FPV community want to feel like they're buying products from companies that they trust, or individuals developing hardware and software that they trust. And if they don't trust it, I mean, they don't want to run it, and they want to know everything about it. They want to know basically the developmental viability, all of that. It's very important to people, and this is gonna be a mess for Fat Shark to clean up, and Avatar and all of them.
Oh, totally. There just are so many things. It's like Craig Rydholm in the, and I'm sorry if I've butchered your surname there, Craig. You know, anytime the partner thing came up in Barbell's interview with Greg looked like a deer in the headlights, and it's crazy he admitted that he flies with DJI and not Fat Shark, lol. And there's just so many little things, and I just hope they get the explanation and they get out in front of this very quickly, sort this out, frankly. So that's pretty much where we are. That's us three can talk about this forever, and we probably will after this show. But that's pretty much where we are. It's pretty much the information that we have for you in a nutshell, essentially. So go and enjoy your Friday evenings. Make sure you go watch the Joshua Bardwell video, but then make sure you watch Ian's video straight after that, or watch it first and then watch the Joshua video.
Don't, because I don't want them to leave halfway through, because that kills the analytics. See, they'll be there for a minute, and then I've told them to leave, and then the analytics
then they tell you to leave again. Well, ignore Ian. Watch his first. It'll be like Inception or something. It'll be like watching Inception, where you watch the problem first and then you watch what happens. I quite like that.
I got to say something. I will get myself into trouble as well. I'll know if they've got to JB, because he'll raise a copyright strike on me. So if I get a copyright strike from JB, I know DJI have got to him. There you go, JB.
There you go. Why is it always Geeks